Hello everyone, welcome to video 5 of One-Way ANOVA. In video 4, we went over the main ANOVA table, and here in video 5, we're going to fill out the first 2 paragraphs of the write-up using the information that we went over in the last video, as well as some information from video 3 as well. Right, so hopefully you've downloaded this Word document from Canvas. On the first page, we have the directions for conducting a one-way between subjects ANOVA in SPSS. Don't worry about that right now. You probably won't have to worry about that this semester, actually. But we'll concentrate on page 2 here, where we have the write-up for the ANOVA. And so we're going to fill out the first 2 paragraphs here. Here we're looking at the effect of political orientation on anti-feminist prejudice. And so in the first paragraph, we always tell the audience what analysis we did and why. So here we conducted a one-way between subjects ANOVA to assess whether liberals, moderates, and conservatives differed in their mean levels of anti-feminist prejudice. And just as we did for the independent sample t-test, we are going to provide the n's, the little n's, for each of our independent groups here, liberals, moderates, and conservatives. So how many liberals, moderates, and conservatives were there in the sample? Well, we'll have to go back to the PowerPoint. And we'll have to go back to the assumptions and checks slide, where we talked about normality equals cell size, equality of variance, and we examined the means, standard deviations, and n's for each of our independent groups. And so we'll look here for the n's. That should actually be a little n there. So we have 35 liberals, 42 moderates, and 45 conservatives. So let's fill in this information in the write-up. So 35 liberals, 42 moderates, and 45 conservatives. So we conducted a one-way between subjects ANOVA to assess whether liberals, n equals 35, moderates, n equals 42, and conservatives, n equals 45, differed in their mean levels of anti-feminist prejudice. So move on to paragraph 2 here, where we're going to provide the F stats. Right, so all the information that is going to be in this paragraph we'll source from the ANOVA table from video 4. We'll skip the first option here, the first choice, about whether results showed a significant or non-significant main effect of political orientation. We'll focus on filling out the F stats here first. So you see that we have an uppercase F, and then we have in parentheses some numbers that we have to put in. If you remember, for the t-tests, right, for every t-test, after the lowercase t, in parentheses always went the degrees of freedom. And that's what we're going to put here. But unlike the t-test, which only had one df value, for the f test, for an ANOVA test, we have 2 degrees of freedom values. We have df between and df within. And the smaller value, df between, will go first, and then the larger value, the df within. So if we scoot ahead in the PowerPoint to our ANOVA table, right, and so as I said in last video, we can cross out the first 2 and last 2 rows, and we need to source, we need to find 5 different values in the table here, right? We have the row for our independent variable political orientation, and then we have our error row. And so right now we need the degrees of freedom between and the degrees of freedom within, which are 2 and then 119. So again, df between will go first, and then df within will go second. So f2 119 equals, and then this here we'll put our actual f value, which is 9.24, and our p value our sig value here, we get the triple zeros, right? So we denote that as P less than 0.001, right? Because P never ever equals 0. We denote that as P less than 0.001. So now we can decide whether results showed a significant or non-significant main effect of political orientation. So we have to look at our p-value here, and so whenever we get the triple zeros, whenever p is less than 0.001, we always have a significant p-value, right? Our criteria, our threshold, right? P-values are significant if they're less than or equal to 0.05. In this case, yes, p is less than or equal to 0.05. It's really small, it's less than 0.001. So results showed a significant main effect of political orientation. Our main effect of political orientation is significant. Our F value is significant here. So that means there's at least one significant difference between our independent groups on their levels of anti-feminist prejudice. And getting a significant main effect here, a significant F value, is not a surprise, as we discussed in the last video. We already know via the independent sample t-test that conservatives report a lot more anti-feminist prejudice compared to liberals. So conservatives and liberals, they should already significantly differ. So we should get a significant F value here, significant main effect. What we don't know is how sort of moderates fit in the picture here, or how are moderates going to compare to liberals and moderates going to compare to conservatives. In order to find that information out, we'll actually have to look at the post hoc tests, the Bonferroni post hoc tests. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's going to be in the next video. So let's finish out the rest of the information here in the second paragraph. So what we have left to enter and interpret is partial eta squared. And so we have our partial eta squared value here, and that is 0.134. And I like to go out to 3 decimal places here so that when I actually provide the percentage, that we can go out to 1 decimal place at least for the percentage. So we can say that political orientation explained 13.4% of the variability in anti-feminist prejudice. Right? Remember that partial eta squared is an effect size. It's assessing how well political orientation predicts our outcome here, anti-feminist prejudice. And so political orientation explains 13.4% of the variability in our outcome, prejudice, which is a small, medium, or large percentage. Well, we'll have to go back to our guidelines for interpreting partial eta squared. And so our partial eta squared value is 0.134. And so as we discussed in video 4, 0.13 falls in the medium criteria here, medium category. Medium, almost large, but still technically medium. So partial eta squared is medium. Yeah. So results showed a significant main effect of political orientation. F, degrees of freedom between and within 2, 119. Actual F value, 9.24. P less than 0.001. Partial eta squared of 0.134. Political orientation explained 3.4% of the variability in anti-feminist prejudice, which is a medium percentage. All right, so those are the first 2 paragraphs of the write-up. In the next video, we will discuss the post hoc tests and fill out the 3rd paragraph here.